Ladies, welcome to the Feminine Mystery. My name is Azalea Dawn, and on my channel I talk about leveling up, femininity, elegance, and attracting the right masculine provider for you. So if any of that sounds interesting for you, then please check out the rest of the videos on my channel. And without further ado, let's get into it. Today's video is all about getting the right gifts for your luxury emergency fund. So first and foremost, I just have to say, I understand that gold diggers get a bad rap, but if you are somebody who actually found a man with gold to dig, congratulations to you. You're on the right track. I celebrate you. I love what you're doing. Iconic. Anyways, today's video is all about getting the right gifts for your luxury emergency fund. And I bring this up because, there are times when relationships simply end, and you don't want to be one of those women who, once the relationship with your provider has ended, you're kind of, out on your own. You don't really have anything to tide you by, and you don't really have any way to pay your own bills in the meantime. Obviously, a job and work history, that's all fantastic, but if you're not looking to work in the interim between relationships, making sure that you have things in your possession that are worth a lot of money, that are stores of value, is really going to help you. And I have some things that I wanted to bring up, now that we're headed into gift season, for you to keep in mind when you're asking for things, for gifts for the holidays, to make sure that, if there is ever a time when push comes to shove and you have to, liquidate some of your possessions, that you're able to do that. The first thing I think that you should keep in mind is making sure that the things that you buy have high resale value. And the example I want to bring up here is the Celine Phantom luggage tote. Now, this is literally the opposite of something that retained its value. This is a bag that was huge in 2016, 2017. If you were around, you remember it being the it bag. Everybody with a blog had this. Every girl in LA had this bag. It was super saturated, super sold out from the company. Everybody was wearing it. But because it was so, oversaturated, eventually, the trend was over, and these bags, made their way into the secondhand market, and the supply of them in the secondhand market has really exceeded the demand. So they really have not held their resale value at all over the years. These bags have gone from, maybe retailing at $3,000, $4,000 at the time, to now being, something that you can find in the secondhand market for, especially if you have a color that's more unusual, you can find these for under $1,000, sometimes around $700. And that's the kind of thing that you want to keep in mind. You want something that when you eventually go to sell it years later, this isn't going to be something that is worth, a fraction of what you paid for. You want it to be a store of value, which means that, it's great to buy things that you're passionate about, things that are very trendy in the moment, but you want to make sure there's going to be a demand for it later. Which brings me into my next point. High demand is also something that you want to consider when you are looking into the gift that you want to ask for. And the bag that I have here, for example, is the Hermes Constance. Now, the Hermes Constance is a very unique bag because it is a quota bag by Hermes. There is a fixed supply of it from the store, which does drive up the demand side a little bit in the pre-loved market, but this bag is often not in style in the way that other Hermes bags are. So even though you will see it kind of marked up, it can take a very long time to sell this bag because there aren't really a lot of buyers all at once. You can have this bag, there can be, a high resale value, which is one thing, but then you have to also look at the amount of time that it's going to take you to sell this bag. Because if you want to sell this bag on your own, then you're going to have to, wait until somebody with that amount of money comes along and wants this bag from you. And that might not happen very quickly, given that this is a bag that doesn't have a super high demand built around it. Whereas if you got something like a Birkin or a Kelly, the demand is super high all the time. So not only is there high resale value, there's also high demand. Now, the next thing you want to think about is buying things that stay in good condition over time. And the example that I'm going to talk about here is the Prada. I think this might be the Galleria tote. This is also a bag that was super trendy, like 4 or 5 years ago, or probably like 7 years ago at this point. My memory, oh my gosh, time. But this bag is, it was definitely super trendy. It was, gorgeous, very chic, very structured, especially when you first buy it. But the issue with this bag is actually that the way that Prada does their Saffiano leather, when they basically do this bag, they have this very soft, very supple leather that is actually coated in wax. So this bag winds up starting out very structured, but as it ages, that soft leather starts to deform, and it doesn't really have any sort of internal structure. They don't really like line it with anything the way that like Chanel bags are lined on the inside with this sort of like plastic material. There's nothing inside these bags, so they wind up lumpy, bumpy, deformed, slouching at the end of the day. And this is not something that's going to command a lot of money in the resale market. So you need to keep in mind that you want something to really age well as you use it. You want to get things that have sort of not just that high resale value and a high demand, but you also want to look at the structure of the bag and make sure that it doesn't just look structured, but the material that it's made out of is super structured so that this bag ages well. You want to think caviar leathers. You want to think things that have built-in sort of almost boning to the bag, right? Like the Chanel classic flat bag. There is literally a material inside a film that gives the bag structure, and that's the thing that you want to consider. Now, as far as my recommendations for what you might want to ask for, this season Chanel Unicorn is always a great idea because even if you don't like the bag particularly, it is something that, like men tend to really like the looks of the Chanel Unicorns each year. I don't know how Chanel works that out, but I think that they also, as a brand, realize that this is a big gift season. And in general, they tend to release something that, like men will buy their wives. So I think that that's one thing that's really good to ask for. And literally, Chanel classic flats, especially their unicorns, they're very rare release bags. These are bags that go up, they double, triple in resale value. There are Chanel collectors who are always looking for them. There's always a huge demand built into these bags. So if you can get a Chanel unicorn bag, if you have that relationship with the store, with the brand, and you can ask for something like that for this holiday season, I would definitely recommend that because that's going to be something that if you ever have to wind up selling that bag, you're going to be able to command a huge price for that bag. Now, my next recommendation, if you are in need of a bag for your luxury emergency fund, is literally any Hermes Birkin. Now, I understand Birkin mania, Birkins are so overrated, blah, 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 like all of that. And I, to some extent, like agree with it. It is like a very like overdone, oversaturated bag, but trust me, the demand is not going anywhere. These bags are selling like hotcakes. You would think that it would be the opposite. But no, nobody's getting tired of a Birkin anytime soon. So this is definitely a bag if you can get it from, especially straight from the store. Keep all of the original packaging, all of the original documentation. The less that you're wearing your Birkin, the more money you're going to be able to command for it later. And this is something that if you can get the more updated styles like the Cellier Birkins or, neutral colors in particular, those are going to sell in a flash. But all Birkins, they retain their value, they retain their structure, they are great bags, and I would definitely recommend those for your luxury emergency fund. After that, I would recommend popular luxury watches. Now, this is something that I would recommend at the top of the list. Is probably the best thing to ask for this holiday season because while I don't necessarily feel like women wearing watches is always the most feminine thing, collecting these watches, they are great stores of value because they will stay in great condition at all times. It's really easy to store them, really easy to transport them. When you're wearing them, not a lot is happening to them, and they go up and up and up in value because these watch brands, it takes a lot to make these watches. So they really can't keep up with demand in-house, and therefore the secondhand market for high-end watches like Rolexes or Audemars Piguet, excuse me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but all of these brands that are very high-end, their resale value is crazy, and it's very easy to amass a collection and take it with you if you ever need to do that. They're also super easy to send to a bank if you're traveling, so that helps make sure that you are being safe in your home anytime that you're not in it. So that's what I would recommend if you're looking for a luxury emergency fund item. Definitely check out those high-end watches and consider adding one to your wish list for this Christmas or whatever holiday that you celebrate this season. In any case, ladies, that'll be it for me for this video. I hope that you've enjoyed. And again, if you are currently in a relationship with in a hypergamous relationship with a masculine provider who's going to be treating you to something nice this holiday season, absolutely congratulations. I am so happy for you. You have work to get here, and I feel that you deserve it. So I just wanted to say that. Until my next video, I'll see you then.